You're listening to Awards Magnet, a Gold Derby podcast with hosts Deborah Birnbaum, Joyce Ng, and me, Christopher Rosen. If you'd like to be part of the show, send us an email at slugfests@goldderby.com. We'll do weekly mailbag episodes and all the stuff you love on Awards Magnet. Now, stay tuned for the show.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Welcome to Awards Magnet. This is your debut.
I feel like I'm crashing the party.
No, we're so great. We're so happy to have you. I can't wait to do this with you. So we're going to do this with Deborah. We're going to go through all our picks here, starting, I think, with our above the line picks here for the Oscars. That's what we all decided on. I'm so excited, Joyce and Deborah.
So much to talk about. We've got 10 Best Picture nominees. I mean, this is a tough one because there's lots of competition. We've got potential spoilers. We've got some surprise nominees. So I don't know. What do you want to start? Like, Chris Rosen, what do you think? Like, who do you think is the front runner here?
I have no really idea what to do with Best Picture. We were talking about this before in our meeting, but I was like, I really think you could make a strong case for 6 of these movies: Amelia Perez, Wicked, Brutalist, Nora, Complete Unknown, Conclave. I have Amelia Perez winning right now. I think it just kind of ticks off all the boxes and like kind of feels like the movie that we've seen the Academy has embraced recently. And we know that while it is not very widely embraced online, the industry really likes it. So I'm going to stick with Amelia Perez, but if you told me any of these movies won Best Picture on March 2nd, I would be like, yes. Okay. I don't know.
It's funny to start with this one because I feel like this one's definitely the biggest surprise. I think when that envelope gets opened on March 2nd, again, any of those 6 names could be read and I'll be like, yes, okay, I'm totally fine with that. Mm-hmm. Joyce, what do you think?
I'm just waiting for PGA because that's the only other group that uses the preferential ballot. So I feel like right now we're so uneasy about this. And I agree. I think like those 6 are obviously above the other here. No offense to the other 4, but yeah, I feel like depending on what PGA does, I might just pick the PGA winner because that movie will have shown to be able to win on preferential ballot, right? And, sometimes it doesn't match up, like Big Short won PGA and then Spotlight won Best Picture. I currently have Anora in first, and I kind of feel like Anora is like stealthily the spotlight of the year because they both got blanked at the Globes and people were just like down on it on both of them really. Afterwards, and it could literally just win original screenplay, just like Spotlight did, and that be it.
I don't know. I think the preferential ballot is definitely the X factor in all of this because I think you have to think about like how people are voting, like what's their favorite film, and then what's their second favorite film. And I just feel like this is going to be a year where that second film could sneak in. So I know my hot take is like we could have a Complete Unknown surprise here. It just feels like it's got the momentum. It overperformed with nominations more than I think a lot of people really predicted, and everyone just really seems to like it. And I don't mean to say that in a kind of negative way. I think that's a really positive thing about it. People are really responding really well to it. It's screening really well. It got lots of nominations for especially its supporting cast. Maybe there's a surprise win here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. I guess the thing I keep going back to is like, usually when there's always like, oh, this movie's polarizing, it's not going to win on preferential ballot. And I look at these and I'm like, I think it would be easy to say like Amelia Perez would be polarizing, but I actually don't think that's true either because we've seen like the industry really does love it and especially international voters. So I'm like, what is polarizing here? I have no idea. What if Wicked wins PGA? That was the other thing I was thinking. Know. And then Joyce, if Wicked won PGA, would you put it in first? No way, right?
I mean, Wicked will probably have SAG and PGA, but I don't think I would do that. Even though I just said I would just pick whatever wins PGA, but I think, but you know what I mean? Because I think like the top 3 here are Brutalist, Amelia Perez, and Anora.
Right.
Because they're not missing anything like these others in the 6 are.
Right.
Complete Unknown is missing editing. Conclave is missing directing. And Wicked is missing screenplay and directing. But I think those are obviously the 6. So, I mean, I think Wicked will win SAG, but that could just be like a Hidden Figures, Black Panther type of win. And they're not going to win Best Picture, It's just the populist SAG win there. I think Amelia can win if it's just a field of 5 plurality vote. Like, it's proven it can do that at the Globes already. So I wouldn't be surprised if it won BAFTA. You know, that's a field of five. That's a plurality vote. And I kind of think because there is so much passion for it within the industry, like it will probably get a lot of number ones in the first round of balloting at the Oscars. Like I can see it and like The Brutalist having the most number ones. And then it's about the redistribution. So then like,
right.
How does that split? How
Yeah.
does that break?
Right.
So like I can see the two of them holding on to the
One and
top two
two.
until the end. And then it's like which one of those has more twos and threes on the other films' ballots.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is the indicator you're most going to look for? Joyce, I know you said PGA. Chris, what are you looking at? Like, what's the thing that's going to sway you, that's going to say?
It's really frustrating because I feel like we could have best picture, we could have different best picture winner at Critics' Choice Award, which maybe doesn't mean as much, obviously, because it's not industry, but Critics' Choice Award, BAFTA, SAG, PGA, and DGA all could have different winners.
I hope that happens because that'll be so much more fun.
Because like really you could like make a strong case like Brutalist wins maybe DGA, obviously. What if like Amelia Perez wins BAFTA, Wicked wins SAG? I think
Conclave can win PGA.
Conclave can win PGA. I think I would still probably lean towards BAFTA just because like we've seen, I don't know, I feel like they're strong indicators of where the international wing of the Academy is going to go. So if like Amelia Perez wins BAFTA, I will feel more strongly about it, even if, and I guess it depends that in addition to like what wins PGA. Like if Honora won PGA, like to Joyce's point, I guess I would be like, oh, that's like really significant, I think, because we know it's got like strong support elsewhere. Obviously the actors really responded to it. It has an ensemble nomination, all these different things. But I still think I'll probably go Amelia Perez because I think it'll win BAFTA. That's basically what I'm leaning on. And it also could maybe win SAG ensemble, even though it's a very small ensemble and Wicked seems like the overwhelming favorite there. So I guess I'll see. I don't know.
I'm also looking out for like the writing and directing because I like it usually the picture winner wins one of those, if not both. And right now I think most people will have Honora winning original screenplay and Conclave winning adapted screenplay and Brutalist winning director. So then like they don't need like both those categories, but like you could argue that that's actually the top three. And I could, even though Conclave is missing director, we've had recently best picture winners win without directing nomination. So
well, I think that's going to happen this year. I mean, so
Right?
it's just especially, and I think the other X factor this year is momentum's been kind of stalled. Like momentum is really such an X factor that guides you, and you sit at award shows and you watch things win show after show, show after show. And obviously we've had to deal with the fires, which has been sort of an extraordinary circumstance, and we're dealing with all of that. So it feels weird to be back in this conversation. We'll know a little bit more once we were back sitting at those shows and seeing who's winning. So again, today on January 28th, if we had to make a pick, it feels like it's...
I'm Amelia Perez. I don't know.
I have Honora. I have Honora as the new spotlight.
Right.
Even though I can totally see Brutalist winning, but when I made these picks last Thursday, I just put Honora first.
All right.
Oh my God.
Let's move on. I think that's a good segue to move on to director, because I do think we're going to, I think we're going to have a best picture. We're likely to have a best picture, best director split this year. That's where it feels like we're moving. So I feel like we're all in the Brady Corbet camp. Is that what we're feeling? Joyce, what about you?
I have him. I can see him just sweeping the rest. I think Chris has him sweeping as well.
I do. I just feel like it is the directorial achievement, right? Like, yes. I think we've like all
scope.
established that, and he's saying the right things. Other filmmakers obviously really like what he's saying, I think, about the film, and like the message of the film being about a little bit about the filmmaking process and how the conflict between like benefactor and, artist and all those different complications that arise. I don't know. I think he's like, none of these other directors feel like they would actually be able to win. I just think it's like all like he's just like checks off all the boxes. So like while they're all very deserving nominees, I don't think this one I'll have to lose a lot of sleep over between now and March 2nd.
For sure. I mean, I think we've seen, time and time again, it's always about the narrative, and he's really owned his narrative with this one. And it's a compelling narrative. I mean, when you look at that film, it's funny. I was even talking to my sister, and she was like, even she understood the $10 million argument. She's like, they made that film for $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so his Globe speech was also great when he was like, director's final cut.
Right.
Like, I think that resonates with people.
I interviewed Robert Eggers after that Globe speech, and he was like, immediately like all over that Brady Corbet speech. He thought it was like really profound.
He got a vote.
He was in. So I'm like, that's one if Robert Eggers or whoever. But I was like, that's good. So
who do you have in second? I have Jacques Audiard.
I also have Jacques Audiard in second place. I do think that like he's being underestimated, and again, if Amelia Perez is so strong, like why would he not be in second place? And the thing I keep hearing about Amelia Perez, I'm sure you guys do as well, is what a big swing, biggest swing. Right. Can't believe it that he's able to pull it off at all is like really impressive. So I feel like he is the second choice. And then I kind of think Mangold is maybe next.
Yes.
So, but I just do love James Mangold. So I don't know.
If only there were trophies for second and third.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we always say that film Twitter are not voters, but do you think voters are able to keep film Twitter at bay? You think they're able to not?
No, they are not online at all. They are terminally offline people. They have no idea like film Twitter is raking the movie, or just last week, raking, not anymore, because there's been a million news cycles since then, but last week, the AI fiasco. Like, they may have seen, like, Brady's statement, but they're not aware of, like, the intensity of the hatred online and how that spiraled out of control, because people were conflating accent with the actual Hungarian language. And they also don't work in the industry. They don't know how these tools are being used, because I think people see the word AI and they just see red immediately, and
right.
They think of the worst case scenario. Sure. Yeah, they think of like the evilness of AI, like the worst possible scenario, which is replacing human labor, which is not what happened in this case. So like I think like industry knows the nuances of how the tools are being used. Mm-hmm. They've already moved on. Like,
so it doesn't hurt Brady. The question is, does it hurt Adrian?
No, I don't think so. Like, to me, it's like, it's no different than, like I said this last week, it's no different than Maria mixing Angelina Jolie's singing voice with Maria Callas' singing voice. They just never said the term AI, you know?
But maybe she didn't get nominated for that reason.
No, but like, I mean, they gave the win to Rami Malek, you know, like he was lip syncing. Like, there's so much post-production that happens in, like, there's no pure performance that you see in a movie. Movies are fake. I don't know if people know this. It's heavily edited.
Oh my God.
It's not real life, guys.
It's real. It's real life. No. It's real
There's
life.
so much post that happens, and like all these tools, it's like if David Johnson, the editor of Brutalist, did not say the term AI and just said Pro Tools. Like, he mentioned Pro Tools. Like, if it just said no one would have like batted an eye. You know, it's just the fact that he said AI and it spiraled. So,
but look, so let's talk about Best Actor. At this point, it feels like it's pretty much a dead heat between Adrian and Timmy. I love saying Timmy. So where is this going? Where are you leaning, Joyce?
I still have Adrian. I think most people have Timmy winning SAG and Adrian winning BAFTA. I think that is the consensus, because Complete Unknown overperformed at SAG, obviously. And Brutalist did not, just got the one nom for Adrian. But The Brutalist feels like, you know, the austere movie that BAFTA would go for, and would go for Adrian's performance. I know I've seen people, you know, argue for Timmy winning there. I can see it happening, especially because like Austin Butler won 2 years ago for Elvis, right? And people were like, Colin Farrell has this in the bag, right? And he lost. But I think it'll be a close one, but you know, I think I would still lean for if it splits that way, I think I would still lean Adrian for the Oscar, just also because BAFTA will happen during voting and SAG will happen after Oscar voting has closed. And even if Timmy wins there, which might be an indication of his support, it's not going to influence future voting. Mm-hmm. So, yes. And then Critics' Choice, I don't like. I guess they could tie a Critics' Choice.
I don't know. Yeah, you've definitely. I feel like this is also a tie. Participation trophies. Everyone gets one.
Everything Joyce said, I think, is true. But I have Timothy Chalamet winning. I just feel like he is so like the movie. Like we were saying before, like the movie does feel like it has legitimate momentum.
Yeah.
And I really think if he doesn't win, it's just not going to win it. Like no disrespect.
Yeah, it would go 0 for 8.
It would have to go 0 for 8. And I just think that like. We've seen movies go over and like even like, you know, like Kills the Flower Moon, right? Like last year is a great example with 10 nominations. And it was like, oh, well, they'll win. Lily Gladstone will win because like the narrative and they love her and like, you know, but they didn't really love the movie, even with the 10 nominations, as like disconnected as that feels. Like you could clearly see that it wasn't like performing increasing. There was not a lot of enthusiasm for it, I guess, at these ceremonies beyond Lily. And then Poor Things was obviously much more widely embraced. So I'm like, The Brutalist could definitely be like the Poor Things type thing. And like Adrian then is like, Emma Stone, and like clearly they don't care about as much about like doubling up on an Oscar winner. But I just think like I don't know, like he's so good in the movie Timothée Chalamet. He's like expert campaigning. Like I just think that maybe that he could squeak out a very close race, even with just SAG, even if he loses BAFTA. I think he could still win. I just think that the momentum feels like it's way tilting towards him now. And I don't know if the AI thing will matter in terms of Adrian's performance, but I also don't think like, I don't know, like people like just love, like it's not even that they don't like Adrian, but they really, really love like Timothée Chalamet, right? Like he's even like older actors, like they're like embracing him and like he feels like an old school movie star, and maybe that's enough to push him over the top. I don't know. Yeah, it's true too. He has like worked with so many people.
And he had that really well timed Saturday Night Live performance where he did really well. He's, musical guest also. He sang the song. So it feels like he's really embraced Bob Dylan, who, again, embraced by older Academy too. It just feels like when you have to like, that the ephemeral, that sort of like intangible of like momentum, he's got it right now in a way that Adrian doesn't. If you had to add up all of those things.
Right. And it's like, I always think of like the rooting factor too. I'm like, I think people are rooting for him. Like they want him to do, not that they don't want Adrian to succeed, like, cause I think he's obviously very well respected and obviously an Oscar winner and has done a lot of great stuff. And I'm like, people really want like, they're like rooting for Timmy. I don't know. I feel like people really like want him, like good things to happen to him in the industry. And like, there's so much stock in him that people have because he is like the last movie star, like under 30 basically, who seemingly can get people to see movies and like is making like real movies and not just like, he's kind of doing like the Leo playbook, right? Like no real like superhero movies, even though like Dune is like a science fiction movie. And I don't know. I just think like maybe that's enough to put him over the top. And I think he could really win. I do think he can win BAFTA too. I don't think it's like would be out of the question that he wins BAFTA. Though I do think Adrian has the edge.
All right, let's move on to actress. This feels like it's a foregone conclusion. One speech, home run of a speech, as we keep saying, and Demi Moore. Like, is anyone going to argue that Demi is not the front runner for this?
She is definitely the front runner. I think she's like in first place in every precursor now, which was not the case, obviously, before the Globes. But
way to pole vault to the top.
It's just one speech. That's all you need.
I know. Bonus to the speechwriter.
Yeah,
really
and
good.
I mean, it was the speech, but also just the shape of the race this year. Like things just fell into place for her, with like a lot of contenders just falling out or being weak, and then her competition in this category too. So I don't know about you guys, but I have Fernanda Torres in second. She's the wild card, obviously the other Globe winner. And she has never faced off against any of these other nominees here because she was in a different category of the Globes. She's not nominated any of these other precursors coming up. So they'll never face off until the Oscars.
So is that a pro or a con?
You could argue either way. So like it'll be a con for her not to be a nominee at these other award shows because she's not present, right? But like she'll probably be at these shows because like I'm Still Here is nominated in some of them, for international. So she really have to rely on campaigning, which we know she can do, and she has SBC behind her, master campaigners. But you could argue that like it's a pro for her because she carried the movie into the Best Picture. Yes. Into the Best Picture lineup. Like 3 years ago when similarly when Penelope Cruz also with SPC got the Best Actress nomination, which I think most people could see coming because she also dominated like critics with and she won the trifecta National Society or two of them, right? But like Parallel Mothers didn't get into Best Picture. So it's different here with Fernanda because she got the Best Picture nomination for her film. So it's like the voters are watching the movie too. So, and with it getting the Best Picture nomination, there'll be more people watching it now than had it not gotten it. So I think that will also help her. And I think the film is also pretty standard. Like she's actually the biopic nominee here, not Angelina Jolie, like we all thought for 5 months. But I think it's a story that's probably unfamiliar to especially Americans, right? And it's a true story. It's sad, tragic, but pretty conventional too. Like obviously it's in Portuguese and you have to read subtitles, but there's nothing like weird about it, and the plot is not weird. It's not genre or anything. So I think it's really easy to like once you watch it. So I think that helps her too. So you could argue either way for it helping or hurting her not being a nominee at these other shows.
Chris, what do you think?
I mean, I have Demi in first, and I have Fernanda in second as well. I think that the thing I keep pushing back, like, Demi feels like she checks all the boxes too, because she's like a Hollywood legend, right? Like, and it's like a comeback role, and I feel like it just reminds me a lot of, like, not that Brendan Fraser is anywhere near a status of Demi Moore, obviously, but I feel like it just reminds me of that kind of win where it was like, oh, like, welcome back, and like we're so excited for this performance, even if the movie is not everyone's taste. Like, it seems like, and they want to embrace that performance, and then having the makeup win as well is like, obviously we've seen that kind of pairs. The combo really does matter. So I just feel like all of that makes me think Demi could win. And like, I do think there's strong, like, the people who love that movie love it. And obviously I think international people do like seem to like it, even though it didn't go crazy at BAFTA, and it didn't overperform here either with like Margaret Qualley or whatever, right? But it did get a Coralie Farjan for director. I don't know. I feel like it's right, but I'm like, I keep pushing back on the fact that, like George was saying, like, getting I'm Still Hearing for Best Picture. Now, granted, it was not a deep field at the bottom for Best Picture. Like, I think we would all agree. But I'm like, the fact, like, it feels like Fernanda Torres single-handedly got this movie into Best Picture. And like, that's crazy. That shows that, like, it's really was like, her performance was so great that people are like, I have to nominate this for Best Picture, even if it's a small number who put it at the top of their ballot or whatever. And it wasn't like a large amount. And I'm sure there's, of all the Best Picture nominees, that's the one that a lot of voters are going to be catching up on most, because I think all the other ones, except for maybe Nickel Boys as well, were like pretty widely seen, even though Nickel Boys probably was seen because it was at a lot of festivals, and like, you know, I know they did a lot of
but
events.
There's a pre-awareness for Nickel Boys where that did not exist for I'm Still Here.
So I'm like, if Fernanda Torres wins, it would be
so
crazy,
many headlines, and there was so much headlines about that coverage. Don't you think that drove a lot of viewership?
Yeah, I think so. So then I'm like, if she could, so like, never face Demi Moore and like all these things, I still think Demi Moore is probably going to win, but I do think it'll be really close. And I guess we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Like, let me ask you this: we all think like Joyce, you were saying, like, she's leading the precursors, all the other precursors. But what if she actually lost at BAFTA, right, to Mikey Madison or something, right? Like, or if she lost any of these races, would that, like, what if Cynthia Erivo wins SAG, right, or something?
I can see Cynthia winning
like,
SAG.
does that change your idea of where this goes, right? Like, I guess it could. I don't know. I wouldn't predict that, but I'm like, that feels like it would be interesting to see if she does lose one of those precursors going into the Oscars, how this would.
I think she could still win without winning all of the precursors, but I think it would just show the weakness in her. Like, you know, we've always been pretty realistic about the Substance's chances, to the dismay of the Substance stands.
Yes.
But, you know, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a body horror genre film that is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So even though she obviously has a lot of passionate support, there's going to be people, you know, who not hate her performance, but just, you know, they don't vibe with it. You know, they like another performance more, like Cynthia Erivo's, you know? So I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if she lost SAG, especially because, you know, SAG loved, or at least the nom-com loved Wicked so much.
Yeah, it's going to be a good question to see what Wicked actually takes.
Yeah, like, I think Wicked is like solid for ensemble at SAG, but like individually, you know, they're up against, like, Cynthia and Ari are up against frontrunners in their categories. Like BAFTA, I don't, like, you say Mikey, I mean, that would be great, but I feel like she's lost so much steam since the Globe loss, and I feel like she really needed that to kind of just cement her status as a frontrunner, not even the one to beat, but just because, you know, she's not a name, you know, it's like her nomination for Anora right now feels like Jennifer Lawrence's nomination for Winter's Bone, not Jennifer Lawrence for Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Mikey's campaign is the strongest when you see that she is not like her character, when she gets out there and you're like, oh, wow, she really is. This is like such a different performance.
Yeah.
We haven't really gotten to see enough of that unless you go to a Q&A when you really do get to see it.
Yeah, she hasn't been able to get the speech. So
yes, we need a speech. We definitely need a speech.
Maybe she'll win Critics' Choice because they were voting before the fires, or they were voting the week. They still closed. They just delayed the ceremony.
Yeah.
And I do want to move us on, but the last thing I was going to say about Fernando too is like that international vote. And I think you just can't count out the international vote. And I think it's just going to cut her way. And I think that's the X factor in all of this. So I think it's probably one of the more interesting races, just again, because as we keep saying, they're not going head to head in anything else until the big Oscar race. So we will see.
Yeah.
So let's move on to supporting, because I know these feel like blah, but can we maybe have an upset here? Let's start with supporting actor, which feels like, okay, it's Kieran's to lose at this point. Can anyone take it from him?
I don't think so. I think people are trying to argue that, but I think it's because they either don't like his performance or think he's a co-lead and shouldn't be in this category, or they are stands of other nominees in this category, like Guy Pearce or like Edward Norton or Yura or Jeremy Strong. And but he's just been so dominant, like with like critics, and obviously he has the Globe, and I could just see him sweeping the rest of the way. And people also ding him for A Real Pain not making Best Picture. It probably just missed, like, because of the surge from I'm Still Here, right, since it made PGA, and then if he wins, he'll be the first winner to win this category without his film being a Best Picture nominee since Christopher Plummer, who was overdue, and it was the only nomination for Beginners. But that's not like, it's not like voters are voting with that stat in mind. Like, they're just voting. Like, we know this stuff, like they don't. So, like, I think he'll just be the win for A Real Pain, and and he's not a lone nominee either, because Jesse's in for Screenplay. Like, they were always locked for these two nominations. So I think he's fine. I mean, I have Ed in second.
It feels like that's the name that keeps coming up as the potential spoiler.
Just because of the, A Complete Unknown is surging. This is his fourth nomination. He's, of all the acting, there's a lot of first-time acting nominees this year, just 13. And Ed is the most nominated actor of all 20, because this is his fourth nomination. So you could say he's overdue, but then, the Guy Pearce stands will be like, he's overdue because this is his first nomination ever, so.
I have Ed in second too. I don't think Kieran will lose. I just think that this is one of the categories, regardless of like A Real Pain being in Best Picture. Do you get I get the sense sometimes people are just like, they've given this category the most thought they're going to give it, and then they're not thinking like too deep. Like, it's like Kieran Culkin has won everything. He's given so many speeches. He will give more speeches at the upcoming precursors, most likely, and people really like him and respond to him. And I just think that's enough. I have Edward Norton in second too. I think that if there is a big surge for Complete Unknown, he would be a really cool winner. And obviously, like, in my opinion, should have like at least an Oscar, or if not two already, but probably not this year with Kieran.
Right. And he gives good speech, and I think it's going to be that thing of you just want to, everyone wants to see him give that speech.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, they want him at the show.
He's a veteran, contrary to his breakthrough award at Palm Springs. Like, he's been acting for 36 years.
He dunked on that so
well,
well,
which is great.
too.
Which is great. Like, everyone watches him in Home Alone every Christmas. Like, they know him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
There we go. And then on to supporting actress, which again feels like we've got a lead here in a supporting category. We all love Zoe Saldana, so this feels like... All right, Zoe.
I similarly, like what we were just saying about Kieran, I feel the same way here. I just think people have not, as much as it would be really cool for Ariana Grande to win, and like, I think she's obviously, for most people in second place. I just think like Zoe Saldana, it's like if people have stopped giving this category a lot of thought. She feels like Divine Joy Randolph or so many other, or like Ariana DeBose, so many supporting actress winners we've seen recently that just kind of steamroll through. And I do think even amid a lot of critique online for Emilia Perez, I feel like she has gotten not as much. I don't think it's certainly not as much as like some of her co-stars, Selena Gomez at the very least. So I just think like she's fine and will win, but.
Yeah, she will sweep as well. So yes. This should be the first award again. Just because Amelia is in Best Picture, unlike A Real Pain, so it should be the first award again. And like it feels like this has been preordained for her since Amelia premiered at Cannes, and everyone was just like, "Oh, Zoe." Supporting, and obviously all like the fracas over like, oh, she's like actually a lead. Like, they don't care about that. Like, only Film Twitter cares about the screen time and stuff. I think like Chris said, like, I think like it's like, oh, it's like inertia. It's like, oh, we see her winning this in this category for this performance. We like this movie.
Right.
Like, I'm going to vote for her. And she's great in the movie too. So, and she's also another veteran. Like, you have Monica Barbaro literally saying, that she was inspired by Zoe in Center Stage. Like Monica majored in dance, like, you know, so it's like people know who she is. She's not a newbie either. So, I think like she's safe, and like Ari is in second. I think, you know, back during like the honeymoon period when Wiki was opening in November, I think a lot of like Chris definitely had Ari in first.
I definitely put her first. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because that's
that's not taking anything away from Ari's performance. It's great.
It's great.
You know, I was an advocate for Isabella Rossellini. I thought she was great in Conclave.
I always had Isabella in, even when people were like, she's not in it enough.
No,
like,
I always had her in it because I think that is what a supporting performance is. You come in, you steal a scene. Yeah. I don't care how long it is. It's the Judi Dench phenomenon. Yeah. That's what you do. And she has a great narrative, but I do think this is Zoe's award.
Yeah, like Ari's best chance is at SAG, but I don't really see her winning that. So, like, she'll get her SAG and ensemble.
Right.
So.
And, you know, and yes, I think Zoe's as close to a lock as we're going to have this season.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, so let's talk about screenplay. We've got original and adapted. Let's start with original. Who's your pick? Who's the front runner right now?
Honora. Sean Baker's win the consolation prize.
Yep. I think this is, you know, this is a way of acknowledging great film that is Honora.
Yeah, I have the same. I also don't know. I think even if it wasn't like really the best spot for Honora to win, right? Like we've been talking about, I don't think there's even a consensus of what would be two. I mean, obviously like The Brutalist is there, but I think you could make a case for like The Substance or Real Pain being here as well. Even September 5.
Can I just say September 5 because I love September 5.
Right.
So
I mean, that's a great script. I love both September 5 and A Real Pain scripts because they're both so economic and tight. So I think those are great screenplays. I think A Real Pain is hurt by not having the Best Picture nomination. Like I could have seen myself putting a Real Pain in first had it gotten into Best Picture. I actually have The Substance in second just because it hasn't won a lot of screenplay prizes. It won it at Cannes, but not like critics or really. It's mostly Honora and A Real Pain, and some Brutalist. But The Substance is high concept, and they love high concept stuff here, like Get Out, like even like Jojo Rabbit, which isn't adapted. But like sometimes they reward high concept instead of like the actual script or like dialogue or anything. But I think it's Honora's to lose, and I gotta have it in first if I have Honora in first in Best Picture.
True.
I moderated a Q&A with Sean the other night, and it was just amazing to think, like, you know, writer, director, producer, editor, like when you think about everything that he did, like this is his film, it's his baby. It's a great way to acknowledge a film that it's done so well on the award circuit. And you're right. Like, is this the right one? Maybe, maybe not. But I think this is probably the one that he's going to get, if not editing. And I know we're going to talk about Below the Line in a different podcast for sure. But I think this is probably the one that he's going to get that night.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So let's move on to adapted. Feels like Conclave probably is a front runner for all of us. What do we think?
Yeah. It got the Globe win, ineligible at Writers Guild, but it'll probably win BAFTA. And I think it's a well-liked movie, and it's also it's a good script for like a book read thriller.
Right.
You know?
Like it does feel like this is adapted. Like the book was great and they made it a great movie. There you go.
Yeah. And then like the other nominees, like this category is not that strong really. Like, you know, they don't normally nominate musicals here, but you got Amelia Perez here, but we also know they just love Amelia Perez. And A Complete Unknown, which is, you know, more performances than plot. You know, we just love Bob Dylan songs here. And then like Nickel Boys, it has the prestige factor, but I don't think it's going to pull a woman talking. I think it would need to win WGA to make a case. But again, there's so many ineligible scripts this year at WGA. Like it's basically between Nickel Boys and A Complete Unknown there. And I could easily see A Complete Unknown winning there as well.
Yeah.
And then Sing Sing, which poor Sing Sing, just...
I know.
You know... What are you going to do?
They all got in. They're now...
They all got
Clarence
in,
Macklin's a nominee here, right? That's great, you know. I have Conclave too, not just because I interviewed Peter Strawn, who I really enjoyed talking to about the movie, but I do think it will win. I also think like that's a movie, again, like thinking of like we were saying, like it's best, it could go home empty-handed. I mean, obviously it's like competitive in other categories, like including like score, I think, where it's probably neck and neck with The Brutalist.
And editing.
And editing, it could win too. But I'm like, it does feel like this is the best place for it to win. And I think it's a movie obviously based on the nominations and the BAFTA nominations that people really did like. And like, it just seems like a great spot for it to win. And especially because like, yeah, like Edward Berger wasn't nominated. So I'm like, oh, they'll just like, this is the great spot for it. And like, let him win. I have Amelia Perez in second though, because again, the industry loves it. And you know, it's a big swing. So.
Yeah. I know, it's so funny. I know we always debate that voters don't vote like that, like going down the ballot, like, okay, you get this one and you get this one and you get this one. But when you think about the conversation we just had, it does feel like this is where it's sort of ending up, that because we've got such a field with such great specific performances or specific strengths in different categories, that maybe everyone won't go home empty-handed, hopefully.
Well, Edward Berger will, since he's not.
That's it. Next time. What's piano?
Every film.
I mean, Peter Strawn is the only of all 10 screenplay nominees. He's the only one who did not direct their movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we're going to have to end it there. We'll talk more about Below the Line another time. Thanks, everyone. It's fun. Thanks for inviting me to the party.
This is great, Deborah. Thank you so much.
See you next week.
See you next week.
See you next week.
All right. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet. The show is produced by Aaron Greenwald. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sikora. To be part of the show, email us at slugfests@goldderby.com and follow us on social media @goldderby.